What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network. He is Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles. Andrew, actually, before we get into the excitement that comes, I almost jumped the gun talking about how the Pirates actually won a road series. But before we do that, we got to talk about our show's presenting sponsor, which is the North Shore Tavern. If you love baseball, you'll love the North Shore Tavern. The interior is wall-to-wall Pirates. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, sizzling steak and seafood on a stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern is across from PNC Park. It is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. Andrew, the Pirates finally win a road series. They take 3 of 4 from the Chicago Cubs. Let's just jump right into it. You were there in at Wrigley Field. I think there's a pretty obvious good as we get into the good, bad, and the ugly. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, for me, it's starting pitching. I mean, you just look at what this group did over the 4 games. Obviously, the headliners, right? Jared Jones and Paul Skenes, what they did. We can start with Skenes just because, 6 innings of no hit ball for him. Starts off that one with 7 straight strikeouts, too shy of, tying the MLB record to start a game. He was sensational. Jared Jones, on the heels of not having his slider, he didn't have the fastball this time. Didn't matter. Still spun a quality start. Bailey Falter, a career high, 7 2/3 innings. He'd never gone longer than 7. He matched Shota Imanaga pitch for pitch, inning for inning, and even exceeded him in one sense, just because he went deeper. And then to finish it off, Mitch Keller, who's been so good in May, keeps it going. 25 2/3 innings over the 4 game set from the starting rotation. 5 earned runs total given up by those 4. It was excellent. In general, it's been solid really all season. And it's just the latest data point of how good this group has been, and really for keeping the Pirates afloat when everything else has been so mercurial.
Yeah, I mean, you look into this. Ideally, if this team were to get hot and reach the postseason, this is probably the 4-man rotation you're trotting out there, right? Probably in a different order, um, or maybe not. I don't know, but this has got to be something incredibly encouraging for fans to see. Especially, this is the first time I think in a series where we've seen Jones, Skenes, and Keller all against the same opponent. And I mean, it's special. It really is. And while, it's easy to be discouraged about certain other elements of this team, you could point out the flaws in hitting development, and they're certainly there. But this right here is very encouraging, just how this starting rotation looks right now. So my good, I'll go with actually a hitter that has looked good this year, that has been developed within the system. That is Nick Gonzales. Since this guy's been called up, Andrew, he's delivered, and I thought this was probably his best series since being promoted back to the big leagues. He had some nice hits on Friday, and then he had the game-winning RBIs on Sunday. So being exactly what they needed. They were getting offensive production from O'Neal Cruz at short, but the rest of the infield was not generating any sort of offense, especially with Ke'Bryan Hayes out. And Nick Gonzales has provided a spark. I don't know how long it'll last, but ideally it lasts at least long enough to get other guys going, to get Ke'Bryan Hayes back, to get some sort of production from first base. And he's been exactly what they called him up to be. And it's not the big storyline out of this 4-game series because the pitching was immaculate essentially.
Sure.
But Nick Gonzales was really good. We'll get into the bad now. What do you want to go with, Andrew?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with Andrew McCutchen's defense in right field. I get it. It's nuanced. I get it. It's just one start. But this was also the first time we'd seen Andrew McCutchen get a start in right field at any spot this season defensively. Before today, as we record this on Sunday evening, the last time it was just, 3 innings of defensive replacement spread out across a couple of games. What we saw from Kutch, there's a reason that this guy has been moved to pretty much a DH only role. It was great that he was able to get in there for the Pirates' sake, for Brian Reynolds' sake, to get him off his feet. There was a triple that Mike Tauchman hit down the right field line, and I get it, Wrigley isn't the easiest place to play, but it's one that McCutchen tried to play off of a carom. Instead, it died right at the ivy. It was probably a ball that if Kutch keeps going and is a little bit more familiar with right field, a little bit more familiar with playing the outfield on a daily basis, he probably gets to that one and catches it on the fly. Again, much easier said than done. But I wasn't thoroughly impressed by what we saw from Kutch there in right field defensively. You have to wonder. I know it's been a goal of his and of the Pirates to get him out there more often, to be able to give some of those other right fielders a rest. But given the number of guys that you have at your disposal to put in the outfield, Connor Joe, Edward Olivares, Jack Sawinski, Michael A. Taylor, and Brian Reynolds, you got 5 other guys who are in need of outfield reps. You can spread it around. I don't know how essential that is. They gave it a shot, and I don't know that we'll be seeing that again anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised we've seen him play as much in the field as we have already. What is this? 2 starts in the outfield?
First start in the outfield, but
First start, and then they put him in as a defensive sub.
Yes.
I didn't expect him to play more than 10 innings in the outfield this season. He's already eclipsed that. So, and there's a reason why. And that's not to say McCutchen has no value on this team. He's actually been probably, I would say, their 3rd best hitter this month. But yeah, the got to keep him at DH. My bad is just another blown save for David Bednar. He made up for it today, getting the save in a very close game, but that's tough when Bailey Falter goes toe-to-toe with quite literally the hottest pitcher in baseball right now and keeps you alive, and then Holderman gets out of it, and you're right there. And it was, I don't know, Andrew. It's getting to a point where you almost expect runs to be scored when he's on the mound. I know he's converted. I know that blew, what was that, like 7 saves in a row for him or something like that. But it's getting to a point, where you might need to start trotting someone else out there in the 9th. I know, and again, I know he converted Sunday, but it's just not consistent enough right now. We'll move on to the ugly. Do you want to go or shall I?
Yeah, I can lead this one off real quick. And this is one that I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with, talking about Michael A. Taylor. First, I'll give him his flowers defensively, what he did during the game on Saturday. A great throw home that seemingly would have gotten Cody Bellinger if not for Joey Bart dropping the ball when presenting the ball to the home plate umpire. But Michael A. Taylor, this series, 1 for 6, sees action in a couple of games, was a late game defensive replacement as we record this on Sunday. But you look at what the body of work that he's put together in the month of May, right? He's 5 for 36 with 15 strikeouts. He's got 2 walks. He's one of the highest first pitch swingers on the team, and he's not really reaping any rewards from that. This is a guy who's not going to walk a ton, but you just look in terms of the production, the OPS 434 this month, the season stats, right? He's hitting 216 on the year. Again, this is not somebody who's expected to come in and be, driving the offense by any means. But last year he hit 21 home runs, and it took until, last week for him to hit his first of the year. I get it. The delayed spring training by him signing with the team in mid-March, that's certainly playing a factor. Defensively, he's been excellent to, at the very least above average in center. But offensively speaking, not much by way of offense from Michael A. Taylor again. He did have a double on Thursday. But yeah, that's what you're hanging your hat on, is just like the sole offensive contribution that you get every now and then from Michael A. Taylor.
And the guy who is producing less than Michael A. Taylor is my ugly. It's Rowdy Tellez. We've reached a point, Andrew, where this just cannot go on much longer. I'm not sure if it will or not, but I mean, you're seeing a pulse from quite literally everyone else. Triolo had some hits. I know Rowdy did have like 2 hits this series, or 1. But another 0 for 4 performance Sunday. I mean, you look at his splits. Last 7 games hitting 111. Last 15 games hitting 132. Last 30 games hitting 148. He has a 483 OPS. And we're heading to May 20th. You just cannot accept that. You can't.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of guys heading into this series where it was bad. I mean, you look, like I said, Triolo was not hitting the ball well, and still really isn't. Jack Sawinski was another guy, but I mean, those guys had a better series at the plate than Rowdy Tellez. They just did. And they also provide, I mean, Jack did what you hope to see Jack do in this series with hitting multiple home runs. And then you have Jared Triolo, where sure, the bat's probably more equatable to Rowdy, but Jared Triolo plays fantastic defense. That's something Rowdy doesn't have to offer. So I just don't know how you can justify him still being here right now, especially with the rest of the offense waking up. There's a chance. I mean, you look like maybe this team can push to get to around 500 by the end of the month. And who knows what you do after that. But, I mean, he's clearly the weak link right now where your other bad bats are providing at least good defense. He's not providing anything. You have Jake Lamb. You have free agents out there, and it's getting to the point in the year where you can start making trades as well. Guys are going to start going on the block. There are a lot of other options, but I just think this Rowdy Tellez experiment has run its course. Any final thoughts here before we round this up?
Yeah, I mean, nothing too much to add just by way of Tellez. My only final thoughts would be, this was the first series that I can think of in a while where the Pirates made use of the good starting pitching that they got. And, in winning a series, like we mentioned, first time in a row they've done on the road since the beginning of April. So that's certainly a step in the right direction for the club. How they continue to take advantage of the starting pitching that they get, that remains to be seen. But at least for one series, I finally took advantage of it.
He's Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles. Thank you for tuning in. As always, you can read our work at post-gazette.com, and you can check out all of our sports content on the Post-Gazette YouTube channel and podcast network. We will see you later this week as the Pirates are set to take on the Giants.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.